Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope your day and your week are going well so far. We've got a new day, which of course means a new NBA player prop video to share with you guys. I've got seven props for tonight's slate, as well as, yes, a parlay. I know the last couple of days we haven't had a parlay on the video. We've got 7 straight props followed by a 4-leg parlay for tonight's slate of games. But before we dive into today's video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, all that good stuff. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and when you hit the subscribe button, we get there just a little bit sooner. Also, guys, don't forget to comment down below, hashtag ride of the day, and one lucky commenter will be picked, and we'll put your pick in the pinned comment for everybody to see. No pressure at all. Yesterday's hashtag ride of the day, Mark Crossan 8330. Appreciate you, man, but unfortunately, your pick did not hit. Scoot Henderson under 6.5 assists. He finished actually with 10 assists in that win for Portland last night. But hey, that's sports betting. You win some, you lose some. So guys, don't be afraid. Comment hashtag ride of the day down below, and your pick may be featured in the pinned comment. All right, guys, quick little recap of last night before we dive into today's props. It feels good to get one. We had a really good, we did well. We cashed on Tuesday's video, get my days mixed up here. On Tuesday's video, we went 4-3, and we were profitable on Tuesday's video, but yesterday, we were very profitable, a 5-2 night from us. Now, I did give out 9 player props originally, but unfortunately, Miles Turner and Cade Cunningham did not play last night, so those got voided. So only 7 props were recorded, 5-2 record. Only 2 misses, Jordan Poole over 6.5 assists, and D'Angelo Russell over 23.5 assists, but the rest of the board last night, hit. It was a fantastic night for us yesterday. Again, very profitable. We are now 9-5 our last 2 days. Pretty good little record there. And let's hope we can carry that momentum into today's video. And look, it's not a sweep or anything, but I do feel like that last night does warrant a little money gun. I think 5-2 warrants a little cash being thrown around here in the video. Listen, you got to see it happen. Sometimes you just got to see that cash fly, and it gets the mind right, and you get those vibes extra positive. And we're ready to go now. So we're really confident. We're looking good for today's slate here. Got a lot of picks that I love. I feel like I got the same energy I had for yesterday's picks, which, seeing how we resulted yesterday, I'm feeling pretty good. Watch me say that and just have a shitter of a night. Hopefully not. All right, guys, here we go. Again, 7 straight props followed by a nice little 4-leg parlay to close out the video. The first prop for tonight's slate, we are targeting the Sixers Heat game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. Our first prop is Terry Rozier over 22.5 points plus rebounds. We'll switch over to the Outlier screen now, guys. You know what Outlier is. They're the best sports betting tool on the market. It really is fantastic. Link in the description below, 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. It gives you so much insight, so much data. Listen, you got nothing to lose. You try it for 7 days, you don't like it, you cancel it. But if you do like it, you subscribe, and you hopefully make yourself a little extra cash with your sports betting. One more time, guys, link in the description below, 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. So Sixers Heat game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off, Terry Rozier, over 22.5 points plus rebounds. We're getting this on practically every sportsbook, but on DraftKings, we're getting it at -115. That is our sportsbook of choice. And look, the data is really pretty good. 7 of his last 10 games, he's averaging just about 25 points plus rebounds per game over the last 10 games. You see it ascending the last 3 games, 25-31 his last game against the Knicks on April 2nd, just a couple days ago. And the Knicks, a very good defensive team, he had 34 points and 5 rebounds. So Rozier is really in a groove right now. It was his last 20 games, 55% hit rate, 11 of his last 20 games, averaging 22.8 points plus rebounds per game. And on the season as a whole, a 67% hit rate, 39 out of 58 games he cashes over. Again, keep in mind that a lot of those cashes early in the year were with Charlotte when he was really all they had. Since coming to Miami, not as consistent, but still overall pretty solid. And you look at the head-to-head matchup here, guys. The last time these two teams played on March 18th, Rozier cashes 20 points and 8 rebounds in what was a 7-point win for the Sixers. So Miami lost that game. He still, although, finished with 20 points and 8 rebounds. Now, looking at the matchup data here, overall, Philly's actually been a pretty solid defensive team versus the point guards this year. On the year, a top 5 rank in terms of points allowed, and they're top half of the league in rebounds allowed. Over the last 15 games, that kind of stays true. They are a top half of the league team, both points allowed and rebounds allowed to opposing point guards. But I'm not too worried here. Again, look at the matchup. The last time these two teams played, literally just less than a month ago, a few weeks ago, he did cash this line in what was a low-scoring affair. I'm not really too concerned with the Philadelphia head-to-head data here. I think Rozier is a good enough point guard. I think he will cash here this over. Also, something to keep in mind here, guys, Tyler Hero is out for Miami tonight, which is going to create more offensive opportunity, I think, for Rozier. Now, look at his last 20 games. This is a filter put on for his last 20 games. without Tyler Hero. Now, don't look at the season total data here because that obviously includes his time with the Hornets, which obviously all of his game with the Hornets, they didn't have Tyler Hero. This point on, from February 4th, that was his first game with Miami without Hero. See, that's with Charlotte. So his last 19 games, he's cashed this in 12 of his last 19 games, over 60% hit rate without Hero. He's averaging over, so that number's not actually accurate, a little bit higher. It's over 23 points plus rebounds per game without Hero. And you see the last 3 games without Hero, he's been going off for Miami. So I really do like the spot here for Terry Rozier. All right, guys, our next prop from tonight's slate is coming from the Atlanta Hawks-Dallas Mavericks game. Also a 7:30 p.m. tip-off. This is my favorite game of tonight's slate to bet on here. Really good offensive teams, not so good defensive teams. It's always a great spot for an over. The over-under for this game also is at 228, so the highest point total of the night. And so I have 2 straight props from this game. The first one being Kyrie Irving over 30.5 points plus assists for Dallas. This prop is available on virtually every sports, but we're getting it for -115 here on DraftKings. You already see it queued up here. The defensive matchup versus point guards Atlanta. They are the worst defensive team in the NBA versus the point guard position, giving up 26 points per game. And they are bottom 4 and assists allowed, giving up 9 assists per game to opposing point guards. When you look at the overall numbers, it makes sense. Atlanta bottom 3 in points allowed, giving up 120 points per game to opposing teams. Bottom 6, in assists allowed overall, giving up 28 assists per game. So the defensive matchup data is solid here. And you look at the data straight up for Kyrie Irving, it's pretty good here. He's cashed in 8 of his last 10 games, averaging 32.4 points plus assists per game. Over his last 20, a 65% hit rate, 13 of his last 20. The number goes down a little bit, but still overall pretty solid there. On the season as a whole, a 51% hit rate for Kyrie Irving, 27 out of 53 games he's cashed this over, averaging 30.57 points plus assists per game. And look at the head-to-head data. He has not faced off with Atlanta yet this year, but the last time that he faced off with the Hawks last season with the Dallas Mavericks, April 2nd of last year, he had 41 points and 4 assists in an overtime win for Atlanta at the time. Atlanta obviously not anywhere close to where they were at that point a year ago. A lot of injuries, a lot of stuff going on. It's a really great matchup I think Kyrie Irving will absolutely take advantage of. And the second prop from this game, we're going with Clint Capella of the Atlanta Hawks over 22.5 points plus rebounds. Now, we're getting this at -105 on DraftKings, but again, available on almost every sports book there. You scroll down below here, he's cashed in 7 of his last 10 games, averaging 23.7 points plus rebounds per game. Tries it down to his last 20 games, still pretty solid, 22.65 points plus rebounds per game, a 55% hit rate. On the year so far, a 50% hit rate for Capella, averaging 22.06 points plus rebounds per game. And looking at the head-to-head data here, it's not fantastic. 1 of his last 3 games, he's cashed this. Although you see the 2 other times he was pretty close and just missed the mark. This is the one time they played this year on January 26th. He had 10 points and 8 rebounds in what was a 5-point loss for Atlanta. Something to keep in mind, though, these are his last 10 games, Clint Capella, without Trae Young and without Onyeka Okongwu in the lineup for the Hawks. They're both obviously out. He's averaging 24.7 points plus rebounds per game over the last 10 games without Onyeka Okongwu or Trae Young. You see here an 80% hit rate. Just barely missed it that one game versus Charlotte there in a blowout. And then that game versus Milwaukee, he just missed the mark. On the season, Dallas, now their rankings are pretty good. They're about middle of the road defensively versus opposing centers, and they've gotten better post-trade deadline. But no Derek Lively tonight for Dallas, so Daniel Gafford will be playing down low. I think it's a bad matchup for Gafford there. I think Clint Capella will absolutely take advantage here. I like the spot for Capella. And -105 odds, pretty good value. It's a little bit of an elevated line here. Normally, I don't think it'd be necessarily this high, but I do like the spot here for Capella. All right, guys, our fourth prop from today's slate coming from the Kings-Knicks game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. I also have 2 props coming from this game as well, but the first of those 2 props, our 4th prop overall, we have De'Aaron Fox here under 25.5 points. Again, getting this for -105 on DraftKings, available pretty much everywhere except for it looks like Underdog. Data's really good on this one. 9 of his last 10 games, he has cashed this under. He's averaging 22.7 points per game. I mean, he is scoring, but he's just that 25, 26-point threshold. He's had a little bit of a hard time hitting. You stretch it down to his last 20 games. 12 of his last 20 games, a 60% hit rate on the under. He is averaging 25.5 points per game over his last 20. You see there a little bit, dating back to the end of February, he had a little bit of a hot streak there before kind of cooling off of late. Looking at the head-to-head data, each of the last 2 times he's faced off with the New York Knicks, including the one time they played this year, back on March 16th, he cashed the under. He had just 20 points the last time they played. The time before that, 23 points. And looking at the right side of the screen here, the Knicks overall on the season are the second best defensive team in the NBA against point guards, giving up just 21.7 points per game to opposing point guards. Now, the big thing to look at here is that Malik Monk is out for Sacramento, which is a massive loss for them in terms of their playoff chances, but also just in general. However, you'd think that the data would be worse for us, but it really isn't. You see the last 2 games he's played without Malik Monk. Now, those were both blowouts, to be fair. You see the Kings here beat the Clippers the other night by 14 points. He had 20 points in that game. And then we had the Kings beat the Jazz by 21 points. He had 24 points in those games. So those are 2 blowouts. But still, it's a 67% hit rate, for this under, even without Malik Monk. The sample size is pretty small, but it is something I thought I'd show you guys. For me, it doesn't really matter, even without Malik Monk. I just think the defensive matchup that the Knicks provide here is just too good to pass on. I'll take the under here for Fox. Guys, make sure to comment 11 down below. We're about to hit the 11-minute mark in today's video. Comment 11 if you're still here and still watching. Thank you if you are. We appreciate it very much. Our 5th prop overall for tonight's slate and our 2nd prop from this game. We've got, again, Kings-Knicks. We're going Domantas Sabonis under 14.5 rebounds. This prop a little more exclusive here. We got Underdog, DraftKings, Caesars, BetMGM. We're getting a DraftKings, of course, for minus 130 odds here. And Sabonis, he actually has cashed this in 7 of his last 10 games. He hovers around the line, averaging 14.4 rebounds per game. A couple of big games here and there. But a lot of green, surprisingly a lot of green here. On the season, you see here a 63% hit rate on this under. He's averaging 13.69 rebounds per game, 47 out of 75 games. He has cashed the under. And the head-to-head rankings, each of the last 3 times he's faced off with the Knicks, including the last time they played this year on March 16th, just about less than a month ago, he had 14 rebounds. He finished just below the line there, pretty close. And you look at the rebound chances, I mean, they're pretty high. He had 34 rebound chances the last time they played, which obviously is a little scary for us here taking the under. But the Knicks right now, you look at the defensive matchup here, overall, the 2nd best rebounding team in the NBA. They don't give up many rebounds to opposing teams. And versus power forward position, they are the best. They only allow 9 rebounds per game to opposing power forward. And if I narrow that data down even to the last 7 games, they are the 4th best defensive team in the NBA in terms of rebounds allowed to the power forward position, giving up just 7.54 rebounds per game. I know he does play some minutes at the center position too, so I thought I'd show you that. They are also top 10 in rebounds allowed to opposing centers. Remember, Mitchell Robinson's back now too for the Knicks, so they got some more size down low. I just really don't think with Mitchell Robinson being back, obviously it would be better if they had Randall too. I just don't think Sabonis is going to cash in and get 15 rebounds in this matchup. All right, guys, 2 props left before we move on to the parlay segment of the video. The next game we're looking at is Warriors-Rockets, 8 p.m. tip-off. We're going Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors over 19.5 points plus assists. This is a rarity. It's not available on DraftKings, and the reason why I'm still going with it is because I love the prop so much. I want to take it. I don't know why DraftKings doesn't offer it here. A rare L for DraftKings, but it is available pretty much everywhere else except for Prize Picks and DraftKings here. So if you are a FanDuel user, obviously I use multiple. I know I use DraftKings the most, but I do use FanDuel as well. So I have multiple sportsbooks to utilize here. So Jonathan Kuminga over 19.5 points plus assists. We're going to use the FanDuel line, so minus 113 odds on FanDuel here. He has cashed this in 7 of his last 10 games, averaging 22.5 points plus assists per game. And now look, I know that a lot of the data doesn't look great here. A 44% hit rate on the season. You look at the head-to-head data. 1 of his last 6 games he's cashed. However, that's when Kuminga hadn't really kind of jumped off yet. You see here, he's only averaging 18.5 minutes per game in those 6 games. The last 2 times they played this year, he only played less than 19 minutes in both games. Kuminga, obviously back in November versus Kuminga now, is a very different player. Look at the right side of the screen, the Rockets' numbers versus power forwards this year. They are bottom 8 in the NBA in points allowed and bottom half of the league in assists allowed to opposing power forwards. It's actually a solid defensive matchup for Kuminga here. This is obviously one of the biggest games of the year for both these teams. Massive playoff implications. The Rockets obviously need this win to stay alive in the play-in tournament race. The Warriors, they win this game. I don't want to say they guaranteed to lock it up, but they basically would lock up their spot in the play-in tournament if they win this game tonight. So it's a massively important game. So with that being said, you got to imagine Kuminga's going to play at least 30 minutes. I expect this game to be very close, very tight. The Warriors are 3.5-point favorites. Vegas thinks it's going to be a pretty close game here. And this is a filter I put in to show Jonathan Kuminga this season when he plays at least 30 minutes. And you see here a 75% hit rate on this over when he plays at least 30 minutes or more. He's averaging 23.95 points plus assists per game when playing 30 minutes or more. And you see his misses just barely 19, 19. A couple lower misses there versus Detroit on January 5th. That was kind of when he was still just getting started. And versus Minnesota, a really tough defensive team a couple weeks ago. But overall, you see here, when he plays at least 30 minutes, Kuminga is a cash cow on this line. And that's what I'm expecting. It's a close game. He's one of their best players. They need Kuminga to step up. You got to imagine he's going to play at least 30 minutes in this game. So we're taking this line, minus 113 on FanDuel. You can get it at all these other sports books. A really solid prop. All right, guys, our seventh and final prop of our straight prop segment, Nuggets Clippers, 10 p.m. tip-off. We're going James Harden of the Clippers, under 5.5 rebounds. We are getting this for minus 140 on DraftKings. A little bit of higher odds there, but a pretty solid bet overall. He's cashed this in 7 of his last 10 games, averaging 4.8 rebounds per game. Look at his last 20 games. He's cashed this under in 70% of his last 20 games, 14 of 20, averaging 5.2. He's had a couple outliers there. Here you see here that 11 rebound performance versus Chicago, but overall been covering it pretty well. And on the year so far, 63% hit rate, averaging 5.12 rebounds per game this season. Most importantly, though, the head-to-head matchup, all 3 times he's faced off with Denver this year, he has cashed the under all 3 times. 2 rebounds, 1 rebound for James Harden here. Had a little brain fart there. On the year so far, you look at Denver, their defensive rankings. Overall, they are a top 5 defensive team in terms of rebounds allowed to the shooting guard position. Not a lot of shooting guards grab rebounds on this Denver team. Kawhi Leonard is out, so I want to show you guys what the numbers look like when Kawhi is out. And still, a 57% hit rate for James Harden on the year when Kawhi is out. 4 out of 7 games. You see, he has a couple of big rebounding games here and there, but overall, still cashes this pretty consistently, even when Kawhi is not in the lineup. All right, guys, so that is our 7th and final prop for the straight prop segment. Now we have a 4-leg parlay to share that I'm very excited about. All right, I'm going to try to fly through this a little quickly here. 4-leg parlay. First leg of our 4-leg parlay. We're going back to Terry Rozier. This time we're going over 24.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. This parlay is being built on DraftKings here. This is going to be minus 205 odds in this one. You see, 6 of his last 10 games he's cashed the over, but on the year so far, a 69% hit rate for Terry Rozier, averaging 30.02 points plus rebounds plus assists per game. You see here's last 20, 55%. It's overall solid data here. And looking at the head-to-head rankings, the last time he faced off, he had 29 points plus rebounds plus assists. Look, we had him on our straight prop segment over 22.5 points plus rebounds. We're adding assists here, and it only throws 2 more in. Over 24.5, if we think he's going to cash the points plus rebounds prop, throwing in assists and asking for like 1 more point or 1 more assist, it really isn't that big of a deal to me. I think he cashes this absolutely. And all the previous data I showed you on that bet still reigns true. Same thing here. Second leg of a 4-leg parlay. We're going back to the Hawks-Mavs game. Going Kyrie Irving over 23.5 points. Now, we took him at points plus assists at 30.5, I believe it was, on the straight prop segment here. On the straight points now, it's minus 170, over 23.5 points. The data's still pretty strong. 8 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over. He's averaging 25.9 points per game over his last 10. You look at the last 20, a 65% hit rate for Kyrie, averaging 25.2 points per game on the season so far. 58% hit rate, 25.36 points per game on the season. Again, the head-to-head data, still he had 41 points the last time he played Atlanta. All right, guys, the third leg of our 4-leg parlay, and yes, this is a same-game parlay X. So if you guys are looking how to bet this in DraftKings, you're going to go to same-game parlay. You're going to pick the 3 props I'm going to show you for this game, and then you're going to click for same-game parlay X and add in that Terry Rozier prop. The third leg of our 4-leg parlay, the second prop from this game in the parlay here, we got Clint Capella over 9.5 points. Again, we're taking it for minus, I believe it's 215 odds here on DraftKings. He's cashed each of his last 10 games, averaging 12.5 points per game. He's cashed it in 16 of his last 20 games. On the season so far, you see here a 71% hit rate, 48 out of 68 games, averaging 11.43 points per game. And again, the head-to-head data, each of the last 3 times he's faced off with the Dallas Mavericks, he has cashed his over. By the way, when Okongwu and Trae Young are both out, a 78% hit rate on this over for Clint Capella, 14 out of 18 games. Again, there is no Derek Lively for Dallas tonight, so he's got the matchup with Daniel Gafford. Again, all we said about the Clint Capella straight prop remains true here. And the fourth and final leg of our 4-leg parlay, sticking with that Hawks-Mavs game, we're going with DeJounte Murray over 21.5 points. We're getting this from minus 175 on DraftKings here. And I know the data at first glance isn't great. You see here a 50% hit rate his last 10, averaging 24.5 points per game. His last 20, 55% hit rate. A couple big games here and there. On the year so far, a 51% hit rate, 37 out of 73 games. And the head-to-head data for DeJounte Murray here. Each of the last 3 times he's faced off with Dallas, including the one time they played this year, he has cashed this over. Murray has played 10 games this year without these 3 players. No Sadiq Bey, no Trae Young, and no Onyeka Okongwu. And in those 10 games, he's cashed this in 6 out of 10 games, averaging 27.6 points per game. Some of his biggest games of the year have been without these guys. You see his misses are very close. You could go ahead if you really want to and buy this down even smaller. You could put it to 19.5. For minus 255 on DraftKings, and it does help the data out a little bit. You see here that jumps to 80% hit rate without those players in. And if we delete the filters here and look at the regular data here, still pretty good. Now it's a 68% hit rate on the year, 75% in his last 20 games. So that's up to you guys. It's all about the value, what you guys want to see there. But overall, we're going to go ahead and take the 21.5 to make the parlay a little bit stronger. All right, so one more time, guys, here. Terry Rozier over 24.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. Kyrie Irving over 23.5 points. Clint Capella over 9.5 points. And DeJounte Murray over 21.5 points. It is a same-game parlay X, so unfortunately, the Outlier will not show you the odds here. So we do have to go onto the DraftKings website here. And you'll see here there's our bet slip. And when you parlay all those together, that 4-pick parlay becomes a plus 340 parlay. No, for 4 legs, plus 340. It doesn't seem like great value, but these are all really solid data, all really good matchups here. I'm telling you guys, it's a solid parlay overall. Like I said, 4 legs, plus 340. I know that you want more value for a 4-leg parlay, but I'm telling you guys, these are all really good spots to bet. Guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys. I will be back tomorrow with a new NBA player prop video, our Freaky Friday video tomorrow. So we have our 5-leg parlay coming out tomorrow. Until then, guys, I hope we're all winners.